Hi everybody, this is Agnes from Sediment, and today we're going to taste wines that got some seriously mean Vivino reviews to see if they really deserve the hate. If you could bottle an old sweaty man's armpit, this would be it. Horrible. I offered them this wine during dinner, and after having a few sips, they made excuses and left, never to be seen again. But I'm just glad to not go blind from drinking it. To be honest, I do not think that wines I have selected today are bad. Some of them are actually top quality, and I would happily choose them as my beverage of the evening. But we live in the world of opinions, and as Plato once said, the opinions drive from the shifting world of sensation. And what is wine if not a totality of sensation? Am I getting too philosophical here? But here is another quote that I would like to bring in. This one is from physicist Brian Cox. He said that while we all have the right to our own opinions, they can be challenged, ignored, and even ridiculed. I'm guessing he had those flat earthers in mind when he said that. But I'm not here to ridicule anyone's opinion. At least I don't think I will. I have gathered 5 wines that have a lot of reviews on Vivino platform. Some of them are staples on supermarket shelves, and some of them even carry legendary labels. I guess no one is safe from a mean comment. To be honest, I came across a few reviews that, while completely logical and realistic on the surface, did not really reflect the true quality or style of the wine. For example, I read a negative review on wine Marqués de Riscal Reserva, which was opened 30 years after its vintage. Not a lot of wines can survive that age. And while Marqués de Riscal Reserva can age, 30 years might have been too much for it. Yes, the review described what the wine had become, but I do not think that it deserved a 1-star rating just because the owner of the bottle opened it way too late. So today we are going to read those mean Vivino comments, and I will have wine in my glass, I will taste it, and I will share my honest opinion. I will be straight with you. Some of the wines I have never tasted in my life, and some of the wines are regulars in my wine fridge. So let's get started. Okay, so here's the wine number 1. I will start by reading mean Vivino reviews. I will taste the wine and I will give my honest opinion, and then we will reveal the wine. So wine number 1. Absolutely, utterly disgusting. The worst rosé I have ever had and ever will have. Wouldn't recommend to my worst enemy. Would rather have a cup of tea instead. Repulsive, revolting, dreadful, awful, horrid, grotesque, vile, and gross. Total waste of money. We'll use this as a rust remover, but it's probably no good for that either. Filthy. Another one. Awful. Could not drink it. Tastes of rotten strawberries, bananas, and possibly vanilla. Sticks to your tongue, and there's a seriously bad aftertaste. Down the drain, utter waste of money. Do not go there. If I could give it a 0 or even minus stars, I would. I'm a bit scared to taste it now. We have a few more. Has a hint of sweaty armpit about it. Pretty poor for the price. Life is too short to drink bad wine, which is why my bottle ended up down the sink. Actually, there were a lot of comments that said that this wine ended up down the sink. Okay, so let's taste it. Judging by the color, I would assume that this is more fashionable pink wine. Okay, so this is quite pale pink colored wine. And I do get that hint of sweatiness, one of the comments said, but it is not overpowering florals or fruit. You kind of have freshly cut grapefruit and some of those really ripe, but also at the same time, acidity-driven citrus fruits. Maybe some strawberry or raspberry here and there. It's not grotesque on the nose, at least. Let's taste it. When I tasted this wine, The one thing that popped into my mind, it was uneventful, but there's nothing bad about it. I think it is well made, really commercial style of pink wine. There is slightly elevated acidity. It is not particularly fruity or expressive flavor-wise on the nose and the palate, but it is well-made, decent wine. It is unexciting though. Of course, it might not spark more conversations, but it is definitely not, what did it say? Horrid, vile. It's not gross. It is not gross. I will give this wine 87 points. 88. It's not gross. 88 points. And let's reveal it. Okay, so this is Rosé by Kylie Minogue. Sorry, Kylie. It is product of France, so it says Terres du Midi. I know that she also has a label that has Côte de Provence, which is supposed to be of higher quality. This is more kind of entry level of their pink wine. Serve definitely chilled. All right, let's move to wine number 2. What an overrated and overpriced bottle of peach Canet. If you enjoyed this wine, you're either from New Zealand, you have no taste, and try to impress your friends whom also have no taste, or you're 16 and were lucky when raiding your parents' wine cellar and randomly picked the bottle most similar to Smirnoff Ice. This wine is good for one thing only, hand-to-hand combat. Just awful. If you could bottle an old sweaty man's armpit, this would be it. Horrible. Very sour. Friends said it tasted like sweaty grandma. Tastes like shoe. Strong notes of drainage on the nose. I like how this comment starts as this very professional wine tasting, like intense nose of strawberries, raspberries. Strong notes of drainage on the nose. Very accentuated if you think about it, but it tastes better with a septic tank aftertaste, but super rich in throat. Okay, so let's taste this wine. Wine number 2. Actually, by descriptors here, if I would have not known the wine, the grape variety or its origin, I would have guessed slightly where it is coming from. You might have as well. And I would have guessed the grape variety. It is very intense on the nose. I don't get a lot of sweatiness that was mentioned here, but I do get kind of that liquidized asparagus, that freshly cut grass, nettle, maybe, some of the green peas. There's also something floral here. It is definitely a Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand. It is typical style. And by the way, it is something to praise this wine for. It shows great typicity. Let's taste it. All right, so we do have that really high acidity, elevated, beautiful, zesty Sauvignon Blanc freshness on the palate. We also have that leafiness on the palate, that fresh black currant leaf, something that you have crushed in your palms and it just smells all over. It is definitely not a terrible wine. It also greatly represents its origin and its grape variety. I mean, if you would have tasted that wine in blind, you would definitely know where it is coming from. I will give this wine 90 points. I think it is a very decent representation of this region. Let's reveal it. And of course, it is Cloudy Bay Sauvignon Blanc 2024 vintage from Marlborough. It is one of the estates that actually drove the popularity of Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough. And as such, I think it has increased in price. And there is a question, of course, whether or not you could get similarly or similar quality wines at much lower price. I think yes. But nevertheless, I do not think that this is terrible wine. And of course, there were a few comments that mentioned that it was sweaty or smelled like sweaty grandma. I remember time ago, I read this article where some wine critics actually criticized Sauvignon Blanc from Marlborough because they usually smelled a bit sweaty. They actually said that it smelled like a taxi driver's armpit. This is not it. It is actually so much more fruitier on the palate and the nose. It is not terrible wine. It is a great representation of its story. Okay, we're entering red wine territory, and let's move to wine number 3. Paint stripper or acetone on the nose, light-bodied and slightly better tasting than it smelt. No acidity, but I'm just glad to not go blind from drinking it. I'm a bit scared now. Good Lord, awful. I could barely finish a glass. Cherry and blackberries, not bad. And then disgusting aftertaste of what I can only describe as cross between petrol and melted rubber. Avoid. Swear and watery, I'd rather fall off a bike. Next one. Wow. WTF, was I thinking buying this one? If you want headache, buy this one. Not a fan. Very harsh nose, almost pesticidal. Positives, it was red and wet. The last one, the awful feeling you get when you realize you're the last to be picked for the team is about the same as feeling you get from the overpowering sulfites and burnt rubber smell. Avoid. Okay, so here we have some serious health implications in judging by these comments. So let's taste this wine. No burnt rubber. It actually smells quite nicely. It smells of strawberries, raspberries. Yeah. It has this very open, juicy fruit aroma. Yes, there is nothing much outside of these fruit, but it is quite intense and persistent. Yeah. Okay, let's taste it. Here's the acidity. I do actually feel the acidity here. It is actually elevated even. And we do also feel those raspberries and strawberries on the palate. Unfortunately, they're slightly short, but given the price of this wine, I do not expect it to be very long and very complex. It is this really simple primary fruit shaped red wine. It has quite delicate tannin. It is maybe not as silky, or not as melting as you sometimes expect from this grape variety, but it definitely shows, that typicity of it. I don't think it is terrible wine, definitely not. And I don't feel any pesticides on the nose or burnt rubber. No, I think it is quite well made. I will give this wine 89 points. Let's reveal it. Okay, so this is Cono Bicicleta Reserva Pinot Noir. So it says simply Chile. It does not specify which specific region it is coming from. And actually, I think Cono is really sustainably oriented winemaker. And I guess you also now understand the reason this person said that he would rather fall off the bike, because the label is Bicicleta. Okay, let's move to the next wine, wine number 4. And I will read the comments, and I think you will guess the wine already. So, it is with sadness that I have to announce that I lost my last 2 friends last night. I offered them this wine during dinner, and after having a few sips, they made excuses and left, never to be seen again. This wine was a big disappointment. It is so sweet and tasted watery. Not even suitable for poche? How it is rated 4 is beyond me. We'll have to look for new friends now. Okay, so the next one. I don't drink from the toilet, but if I ever wanted to know what that would be like, the next one. Worst wine I have ever drunk. I don't even know why people drink it. The nose and taste are overpowering and palates going all directions for really bad wine overall. I might as well drink vinegar. This wine gave me numerous hangovers and headaches the next day. Do your liver a favor, avoid please. The next one, appropriately named 19 Crimes Against Winemaking. And the last one, I've got 19 problems and vanilla is all of them. So judging by the comments here, I'm guessing there will be some residual sugar, there will be a lot of vanilla on the wine. This is one of the wines that I have never drunk. Actually, Kylie was another one that was my first. Well, if I want to be completely honest, there's nothing much I can describe at the moment. It really smells of red wine. It is very difficult to distinguish between different berries, or different aromas, characteristics. And the berries that maybe you kind of feel are more crushed or slightly oxidized. We do not know how this wine has been aged, maybe it has spent the majority of its life in the retail shelf, which is less than ideal cellaring environment. But there's also something green, like some kind of pyrazine or bell peppery or green peppercorn kind of element. But it overall, on the nose, it lacks charm. It lacks that kind of inviting nose that just tells you, let's enjoy each other's company and spend some time together. But let's taste it. I kind of understand that comment which said that it is sweet and watery, because on the palate, it does feel like the fruit or the concentration, somewhat concentration that it has, is actually coming more from the sweetness, from the residual sugar, rather than from the flavors or the fruit itself. And I would guess that if you remove that residual sugar that it has, and it's not a lot, it's not like sweet or luscious like dessert wine, it just has that sweetness to, I think, please majority of the palates. But if you would remove that sweetness, I don't think there would be a lot of fruit left. But then again, maybe I'm being too harsh here, because we do not know how this bottle has been cellared or at what kind of temperature or light conditions it has been stored. So it might just be a badly stored bottle, but I cannot give this wine a lot of points. I will just give it 85, which leaves it without a single medal. So that would be not even bronze. I'm sorry. And you know what the wine is already, because we mentioned it. And it is 19 Crimes red wine, Southeastern Australia. And one thing that was very difficult for me, I could not find anywhere the grape varieties. There were some speculations. It was like Cabernet Sauvignon and Syrah, and I would kind of expect, if we are talking about Australia, I would expect the mix of these grapes. So yes, that was also an interesting topic here to discuss. All right, so I saved this one for last because this is regular in my wine fridge. I do enjoy this label a lot, but I will try to take that away, read the opinions, taste the wine. So let's start. Me and my family have nothing good to say about this expensive waste of money. Bitterness overpowers everything, and if anything else. The second one, real poison, worst experience in life. Yeah. It will reveal what it is. Worst champagne ever. For so much money, such a bad taste. Aftertaste, terrible. And the last one, bottom shelf garbage, as they say. Tried it and couldn't believe how much it paled in comparison to André. I don't know, what is André? Or who is André? Not many believe me when I say this, but I've been keeping this bottle, a wedding present from Shane Victorino, whoever is Shane Victorino, in my wine shelf for years, but have been really craving some champagne, so I broke it out. Highly disappointed. So the last comment said it is a wedding present. I would just be really interested to know, when was the wedding? Because it is not a vintage champagne, it is not a Cuvée Prestige, so it is not made for long cellaring. But let's taste it. It just shows that really classic nose of champagne. It is, you smell it and you're happy. Yes, there is slightly bruised apple here, but I guess that's the style of the house. But there's also some ripe yellow apples, orchard fruit, pear, and even some blossom. Like orange blossom or apple tree blossom, you know, in the spring when it all just is filled with all these beautiful floral aromas. But you could also feel that there's power and there's intensity and concentration behind that. It is not all ethereal. It is not all ethereal. Fancy Agnes with it, with her fancy names and words. Okay, let's taste it. I guarantee to you, if it wasn't early morning when I'm filming this video, I would have swallowed that wine. It is really beautiful. The acidity is elevated, but it is packed with all these beautiful fruit flavors. It is not just plain acidity. It just shows body, freshness, concentration. And while I am talking with you, this wine shows the longest aftertaste. I don't feel anything bitter here. No, not at all. And I kind of understand that if I would have aged this wine maybe for 20 years or 30 years, as in case with Marqués de Riscal, maybe this person did. It was a gift for a wedding. So maybe it was gone bad already. You know, all the freshness and fruit was had evaporated and it lost its nerviness. I completely understand that. But this specific bottle that I have here, it is absolutely beautiful. I will give this wine 94 points. I love this label. It is beautiful. Shall we reveal it? My sweet baby Bollinger. I do think for me, their entry cuvée, so this is their entry cuvée, Cuvée special, sorry. So this is their entry cuvée. So this is Bollinger Special Cuvée. And I do think that it is one of the best non-vintage champagnes, one of the best entry cuvée you can have. They're incredibly complex. They're incredibly dense and fresh and packed with a lot of flavors. It is beautiful champagne. Maybe they didn't like the bruised apple, kind of that bruised skin on the nose, which might indicate for some people, you know, a bitterness, but it was not bitter on the palate. Yes, this is my wine for the evening. Thank you. Okay, you guys, so these are 5 wines that I tasted today. And of course, I was focusing today on the bad and negative comments. But in all honesty, all of these wines also have 5-star ratings and very good comments about them. And I don't think that they were that terrible. You know, sometimes it is just an issue of a bottle, not a wine or winemaking altogether. And please let me know in the comment section below what are your biggest wine disappointments and whether or not I should continue with the series. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to watch my other video where I tasted wines that sommeliers usually love to hate.